The story begins with the protagonist explaining that in this world there are several types of toys. As for example, the guy standing in front of him, this is one of the noisiest toys he had seen so far, because from his mouth only prayers to his supposed god and would accusing him of being a demon whom he would kill under the judgment of his lord. So he killed this warrior as quickly as possible, doing him a great favor to meet his dear god. Time later appeared another new toy. This claimed not to have much time because it was his wedding anniversary with his wife, so he would finish the battle as quickly as possible. Of course, Baphomet also finished with that old man and mocked him for having died on such an important day. After appeared a nice toy looking for the head of the tower. The final boss he was looking for was the Baphomet, and upon realizing this he left his friendly performance to subsequently attack him as a lunatic. But she ended up being easily defeated, and even though she begged him to forgive her, he ignored her. The fun of it was that the toys continued to appear with the aim of defeating him. But he knew it was impossible, and of course none of these toys didn't make it out alive from this room. After this brief introduction, the protagonist revealed that his name was Baphomet, the ruler of this tower and the one in charge of identifying the value of the toys. Also explains that the moment in which humans manage to reach him are the moments that more they excite him, but they are also the most desperate, because it is the moment when the fun you have been waiting for ends so quickly. In addition to the fact of having a door in front of him that does not let him out and not being able to go to the world from which the toys come, can only think about how to spend the moments of boredom until a new toy comes through that door. On realizing this, Baphomet gets angry, since he didn't understand why he had to stay in this boring room. When he was feeling frustrated, he suddenly heard a strange noise. That sound came from the object that the toy before dropped, and because of that object came up with a great idea. Soon after appeared another person bragging that he would kill the boss and become the best hunter, was naturally defeated and got beat up. But Baphomet did not kill this human, but he asked him why such an object is used, and the reason for his question was simple curiosity. The human did not want to die, so he explained that to unlock the cell phone would have to do a facial recognition. Or Baphomet understood quickly what he was saying. The more he understood, the more he wanted to know the world where the toys live. While his curiosity increased, the human tried to attack him from behind, but Baphomet accidentally killed his new toy that was teaching him interesting things. But thanks to this object, his stay in the tower became more fun. Plus, he had collected all the items that humans dropped, and sometimes through those things he could imagine how it was the life of the toys. Over time arose a problem. The more he knew about them, the more he grew his desire to know the real world and not be living an illusion trapped inside this room. Of humans learned that they have the superstition that a being called God grants them desires. So he wondered if this God would also fulfill his wish. At the same time he thought about it, the phone lost its brightness. While he was bored, the tower warned him that a new toy was coming. But he was not very excited, just wants this to end soon to collect the loot and have fun a while. Suddenly a human with white hair came into the room. Seeing him, the idea of collecting his objects disappeared in an instant. Very excited, he launched his first attack. But this new toy blocked him easily. By getting behind him, waved his sword, throwing flames blue. Baphomet realized that this toy was the one he was waiting for a long time, so he decided to use all his power. While they traded blows at high speed, remembered the emotions he had forgotten to be in a real battle, so he attacked using his chain magic. But the human manages to dodge them, and taking advantage of this opportunity, Baphomet flew towards the human at great speed. But when he wanted to attack him, his blow failed and he was thrown to the ground with a kick. At first this seemed to him fun, but now he could not understand why he was envious of this toy. This feeling irritated him, so he released all his power and attacked, invoking his sign. But still his blows were still failing. He had to activate his shield to fend off his counterattack, and this made him feel even more frustrated, being defeated by a simple toy. Then he attacked with his most powerful ability, but he managed to defend himself. At the same time, a voice whispered to him, telling him that although he is the owner of this tower, he would still be trapped. Because of that voice, he ended up distracting himself in the middle of the fight. Taking advantage of that, the human attacked with his strongest blow. Baphomet activated his energy shield, but still seeing his gaze, he realized that now he was this human's toy. He also wanted to be someone like this hunter, leaving that room to be free and become the most powerful. He wanted to become a human, and being his desire so strong, a state window appeared in front of him. This said that by killing the hunter raven, his wish would be fulfilled. But upon receiving this mission, the human had already pierced his body with the sword, engulfed in flames. The blue window considered that the hunter's mission was over and ordered him out of the tower before it collapsed. The hunter went to the exit, leaving behind the charred body of our Baphomet, but did not expect that being near of the death. Baphomet rose and went after him. From outside was a big explosion. Then we are shown the workers looking in the middle of the rubble of the tower, the corpses of those who tried to challenge the Tower of the Abyss. While they mourned their deaths, they noticed that there was a survivor. That man is Baphomet. He explains that he thought he would die when trying to attack the human, again with his charred body. He pierced his chest with his hand and the next moment crushed his heart, thus getting to kill him and survive at the end. When the workers asked for his name, the protagonist replied that his name is Baphomet, and while saying that the system appeared saying that he completed the main mission, then explained that the hunters are people who fight monsters inside gates and towers. The hunters did not have much importance until one day the first clash of gates occurred. It was a phenomenon that causes monsters to come out the gates when a tower is not cleaned. A third of the population world was eliminated. Because of that, humans started training hunters to clean the towers. Baphomet was the final boss of the Tower of the Abyss, which killed countless hunters, and also a monster fascinated by humans to the point of wanting to become one of them. The people confused him as the hero who completed the Tower of the Abyss. People wished to see his power, but Baphomet had lost all his powers and ended up being demoted to a swindler. Of the tower, ruler became the leader of a gang that looked after a quarry in a dungeon. Elsewhere, we are shown the incorporation of a new worker to the quarry. The man of middle age explained how things work here, mentioned that the quarry is very large because the hunters cleared the area by defeating the monsters, and that the rookie saw several guys walking around a man. The veteran told him that they are criminals who wander around the quarry bothering or harassing others. They stay here because the head of the quarry likes them, since they do their job well. Then we are shown to the boss delivering wages to Baphomet gang while they were arguing that spending their salary on out of nowhere. One of them asked him where he sends his money. The members of his gang beat him, since he will say it when the time is right. Because of that question, Baphomet gets angry as he must give all his money to a doctor. After being treated like a con man and being injured, he had to go to the hospital. But having no money, the doctor made him an offer and told him to pay off the debt to his body. Now all the money he makes goes to that doctor. But it had a good side, because he wouldn't have to go out on the street and be treated like a con man. There were problems when some people recognized him. At first tried to ignore them, but he couldn't take it anymore. So he beat up even those who just looked at him. Before they realized, some people started following him and he had to pretend to be their leader, even though that was not the life he wanted to enjoy, being human. While he was lost in his thought, a monster attacked one of the workers, but two hunters easily defeated him. By seeing them, Baphomet wanted to have that power to be like that free and strong hunter. While thinking about it, one of the members of his group said that Baphomet was better than the hunters. Others also began to say that their leader was better, and even though the hunters make a lot of money and live in penthouse, they prefer to be with their leader. Upon hearing this, without realizing, Baphomet had been smiling, since he was having fun like when he was in the tower with his toys. But no need to fight now. He was a human and could have fun with his toys whenever he wanted. Then one of them asked his name, but he told her he wasn't wearing it anymore. So he thought he was keeping it a secret for some kind of background, which made him look cooler. When his partner was about to tell him his name, there was a big explosion. Baphomet was disoriented for a few seconds. When he recovered and looked around, saw several people being burned by fire. Beside him not only was that comrade's body, but also of all the members of his gang. To see their broken toys, he was enraged, since he was in the middle of his fun. At the same time, the hunters of rank C are being cornered by the new worker. This guy was actually a hunter who entered the dungeons to steal the loot. Even in this desperate situation, the girl was thinking about how to save the workers who got to survive. But being realistic, the boy says it would be better to try to escape, since his enemy is a hunter of rank B and had to ask for help to the veteran hunters. The girl still insisted on wanting to save the civilians, and because of this, her companion ended decapitated. Full of hate, she attacked to avenge the death of her companion. But before reaching him, the guy cut off her legs while screaming in pain. The guy opened a portal for their allies. They, upon seeing the girl, decided to sell her to the black market, since being a hunter of rank C would pay a lot of money. Being desperate, their leader explained that the only ones to whom he steals are the hunters. Being more specific, he steals the organs of the hunters and she will be another of his merchandise. Upon hearing this, the girl, even more desperate, she began to cry and scream for someone to save her. While they mocked her for her plea for help, one of their heads flew off. Another one's heart was pierced. Of course, all this was done by our protagonist. Back a few minutes ago, the system showed him that completed the hidden mission. As a reward will be given the power he so longed for. By returning to the present, he had used someone else's weapon to wipe out these two, which normally cannot be done, since there's no way to use someone else's gun. But Baphomet activated his weapons master ability that allowed him to steal the weapons from his opponents and use 100% of his power. He asked which of them was responsible for breaking his toys. The leader did not even care about his dead companions, and began to mock of Baphomet being too old to play with toys. He went quickly towards them, seeing that their leader sent two of his subordinates to attack him, even though they attacked him at the same time. He got to defend himself easily. The next moment, without giving time for his enemies to react, he pierced the head of one of them with his sword. The other tried to attack him, but with one hand held his arm. With the other hand making a clean cut, he cut off his head. Even with all that, the hunter of rank B still hoped to obtain the victory, so he entered the fight. attacking Baphomet and being his blow stopped easily. This one was interested to know what was his rank, but in his head he still had the idea that he would be the winner. By cutting him a cut, the leader was more confident and began to brag about himself. The hunter attacked and using his great speed made several cuts to the body of Baphomet. Seeing him on the defensive, the leader became more excited, since his opponent did not have any equipment and only trusted his physique. He was using a chain sword, an effective weapon to attack inexperienced opponents, and it was also to not damage too much the product to be able to sell it at a very good price. While Baphomet blocked the attack coming straight at him, and from that moment on he was able to defend himself from his next attacks. At the same time, his ability automatically activated and making him stronger while fighting. The leader was surprised to see this so surreal scene and could not react in time to dodge the blow that sent him flying. Without losing this opportunity, Baphomet launched another attack, but being blocked attacked again the hunter, who barely got to dodge it without feeling tired. He continued with his attacks. Irritated when realizing that Baphomet was stronger, the hunter decided to wait for it to run out to give a critical blow. But seeing the aura emanating from him, he was terrified, not knowing what he was fighting against, since the person in front of him did not seem to be human. And because of the fear he felt for the aura that surrounded him, ended up paralyzed for a second, in which Baphomet cut off one of his arms in homage to the toy that was beside him. The other arm was by the guy who always smiled. The left leg was for the fat one who was always eating, and the other leg was for the new member of the gang. While watching the hunter scream in pain, Baphomet ended his revenge in the most ruthless way, but still continued to beat his body uncontrollably. The reason for this was because he activated the Berserk ability, increasing his intensity of killing. At that time of uncontrollability, he realized that the Slayer had survived, and as his eagerness to kill did not diminish, went in the direction towards the girl. In his head, the only thing he heard was a voice telling her it was created to kill humans. But as he was about to take down the Slayer, he stopped to feel the presence of other humans approaching. Ignoring the girl, attacked these two, but being close to reaching them, the goddess's finger touched his body. At the same time, hearing his voice say that she had saved him and will not let him die soon, so he should rest a moment. Regarding the two people, were confused to see him go to them for later stop and fall unconscious. As this happened in Baphomet's dream, his subordinates called him by his name. Ready to obey his orders, he ordered to kill all humans and make known the name of Baphomet throughout this land, and then be pierced by a sword. The hunter told him that now he is no longer the head of the tower, but a mere weak human awaiting death. Then on waking from this nightmare, he noticed that he was in a strange room. One of the people before congratulated him for regaining consciousness and also recognized him as the scammer who tried to take credit for clearing the Tower of the Abyss. So he came to the conclusion that he was trying to take credit again, since the criminal they were chasing was murdered and he was the only one on the scene. Also says he tried to investigate him, but couldn't found anything about him, being even more interested in knowing his identity. Fed up with his interrogation, Baphomet broke the glass in the room, then claimed to be the one who killed the hunter with his own hands, and that he would do it as many times as necessary when they made him angry, causing the subject to burst out laughing at the arrogant way of talking about Baphomet, and then enter the room and mockingly tells him to try to kill him. But to feel the aura of this human, his body was trembling, reminded him of that hunter with whom he fought in the tower. But even so, he attacked and ended up being defeated easily. Then he showed up saying that he belongs to a secret guild formed by the government, and its purpose is to stop the criminal hunters. The hunter he killed was to be executed on the spot for his crimes by selling the hunter's organs to rich old men, as it was rumored that transplanting the hunter's organs would give them good health until it would make them immortal. Thanks to Baphomet, they solved this problem, but they can't pass up the fact that he killed those people. When reviewing the corpses, they saw that the cuts were perfect, as if made by an expert, and concluded that Baphomet was more dangerous, so it should be removed before it became a problem in the future. He was frustrated, since with much difficulty he got to become a human. If only he were stronger, they would all be under his feet. But it is a simple dream, since the guy in front of him is about to eliminate him. In a scene change, we see Baphomet being attended by the receptionist of the Central Administration of Hunters. While they attended him, he remembered what happened that day. The subject did not eliminate him, since he wanted him to register as a hunter and use his talent to kill enemies. There are also many jobs to be done secretly, and when you go to choose a hunter's name, he should choose one that does not attract much attention. Baphomet only thought of becoming stronger and would use this opportunity he gave him to make him regret it. He chose his real name Baphomet as his hunter nickname and would make everyone tremble in fear just by hearing it. For some time after, our protagonist was fighting against the monsters of a dungeon when the leader of the monsters appeared to face him. Suddenly he was stopped by him. As he tried to check if his other abilities had returned, when nothing happened, the monster attacked him, but was defeated in a single blow. When he left the dungeon, he checked his state window and did not mind starting from below in order to regain his powers. Being absorbed in his thoughts, suddenly someone called him by his name. putting him on alert. But it was only his boss, who spoke through a video call. This claimed him for having used the name of the boss of the tower for his nickname of Hunter, since this caused several rumors to spread, worsening his reputation. Adding to that when investigating in the Tower of the Abyss, they made known that the Hunter Raven sacrificed his life to defeat the boss. He did not care, ensuring that he only had to become stronger so that no one else dares to open his mouth. His boss could only let himself face the consequences at the Hunters' meeting. When he arrived at the meeting place, he was excited to see the sea, since he only saw him in the loot of one of his toys. So he ran out to see him up close, leaving his partner behind, who accompanied him on the orders of his boss in order to keep an eye on him. In that, our protagonist met two foreigners whom he looked at with total attention, confirming that it was that different breed that one of their toys mentioned. His companion quickly took him so that he did not bother the rest of people, then gave him his ID card and his cell phone. The name he chose was in honor of the toy he worked with at the quarry. When entering the event, was disappointed, as this orientation was supposed to teach novices how to be hunters, but only saw his boss give the opening speech of the event. And after having presented himself as the director of this orientation event, Baphomet claimed him for being here, since he was supposed to be working arresting criminal hunters. He told the public that he's just a normal member of the Hunter Central, so he shouldn't be talking about it. Then he told him to worry more about himself, since the other hunters murmured about him. They called him a psychopath for having chosen the name of the boss of the tower, since it caused them many problems. So his boss recommended him to pretend not to know him so that he would not be marginalized too. After having told him that, he went to where the rest of his coworkers were. His coworkers asked him about his conversation with Baphomet, and he replied saying that they were only trivial things, after they mentioned that they should not let a scammer in. But their boss warned them that the government approved it, and being all simple employees working for the government, we might have trouble opposing their decision. By solving this issue, he turned his attention to Baphomet, but he was relieved to see that he had a strong mentality and faced this situation in the best way. What caught his attention was the arrival of the hunters of rank A, since they were not supposed to be at this event. Seeing their confusion, his companion explained to him that they will join a special training. Besides, it would be good influence for the new hunters, except for Baphomet, that was only concentrated in the food. Well, he didn't need to eat when he was in the tower, but he was curious to see a toy taking pictures of such food. When he was eager to try it, he was interrupted by someone pouring water on his head. The culprit was a rank A whose hunting nickname was Leon. This one was curious to meet him, but is stopped by another of his companions, as he is leaving a bad impression. However, also tells Baphomet that this is his fault by having chosen the name of Baphomet, since many hunters have died because of him, and he makes it seem that he mocks them. Without paying attention to that subject, he carried out the same action that the hunter made him, but with a plate of food, leaving all present amazed, and even his boss was about to visit his god. While Baphomet was being intimidated by this hunter, but he was not afraid of his threats, but in his face he ended up mocking his weakness, because if he was so worried about his other comrades, he must have defeated the boss of the tower himself. He was angry because Baphomet was the one who killed the hunter Raven, who was one of his companions. Regardless of what may happen, activated his physical strengthening ability. And when he was about to hit him, he was stopped by another hunter. Baphomet, upon seeing him, was bewildered, because his face was familiar. Meanwhile, the other people got to recognize him as the hunter's brother Raven. Our protagonist, hearing this, was surprised, while the guy who helped him turned out to be the younger brother of that hunter who had to kill in order to get out of the tower and enjoy his new life. But now he's human.